Kia ora koutou. For those of you who live in Auckland, you might have noticed our notice board out the front in the last couple of weeks. It's a big orange sign with the words, "You Matter." It's a sign that signals our support for Presbyterian support, and particularly for Shine, Making Homes Violence-Free New Zealand. But it's also, when you think about it, a great Christmas message. You matter. Indeed, theologians for centuries, using all sorts of fancy words, have said that Christmas is God's declaration that little defenseless babies, their mothers, and their families matter. Not just baby Jesus, but all babies. Not just Mary, but all women. Not just babies and women, but all human beings. Whether you're rich or poor, powerful or powerless, cuddly or prickly, you matter. One of the most well-known Christmas carols I'm looking forward to later this month is Silent Night. It also has this message. You might scratch your head and say, really? It seems to be just about baby Jesus sleeping, his mum watching on, and a host of angels singing. And it's a bit of a miracle that he stayed asleep. Where does "you matter" come in? Well, let me explain. Once upon a time, nearly 200 years ago, there was a little village in the Austrian Alps called Oberndorf bei Salzburg. I think the Bay Salzburg means that it's 17 kilometers outside of Salzburg, where the local minister was Joseph Moore, and the local school teacher was Xavier Gruber. Xavier also played the guitar and helped with music in the village church, where, of course, Joseph was the minister. On December the 24th, 1818, Joseph sat in his study pondering his Christmas sermon, or what would become his Christmas sermon. It's kind of what ministers do. And the text for the day was, "Behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy that shall be to all people. For this day is born to you a Saviour." It's the political angels singing to the shepherds. Well, as Joseph read this text, somebody knocked at the door, and he opened it to find a peasant woman wrapped in a coarse shawl. She told him that earlier that day a child had been born to a poor charcoal maker's family. Will the minister come and bless the infant, that the child might live and prosper? So off Joseph went, with the peasant woman, trudging up through the knee-deep snow. And at last they came to a ramshackle hut. A big awkward man greeted the minister and asked him to enter. The room was filled with wood smoke and poorly lit. But on the crude bed lay the young mother, giving a tired and contented smile. In her arms she held a baby, now peacefully asleep. Joseph said a prayer and a blessing. As he made his way back down the mountain alone, he felt strangely moved. The smoky shack with its crude bed did not really resemble the stable in Bethlehem. Yet somehow the text for his Christmas sermon seemed now to be addressed to him. It seemed to Joseph as though the Christmas miracle had just happened right now before his very eyes. He felt the promise of peace and goodwill in the forest silence and in the brilliance of the stars. Well, he came down, robed up, did the midnight service, and then went home. But Joseph Moore found that he could not sleep. He went into his study and tried to put down on paper what he felt. The words turned into verse, and when dawn broke, he'd written a poem. On Christmas Day, Joseph took the poem to Xavier Gruber, who, liking the words, composed music for it. And so, Silent Night came into being. And of course, Joseph, as he walked down that mountain that night, had been right. The Christmas miracle had just happened again before his very eyes. Every time a child is born, every time a child is loved, every time one person says in word or deed, "You matter," the Christmas miracle happens again. God is indeed in our presence with us. Emmanuel. Have a blessed week.